Good morning. It is so great to be here today. And it's just so interesting to come in this role after I've been here a few times, and I haven't seen all of you here the times I've been. So I see lots of new faces for me today, and that's wonderful. And I'm going to ask, even though I refused my name tag just because for some reason when I'm talking, if something's on me, it's like, what's that? So I'll wait until the open house to put mine on. But if you'll continue to wear your name tags so I can get to know all of you by name, I would appreciate that, because there's only one of me. There are lots of you. So today we are talking about new beginnings. How appropriate. Isaiah 42:9 says, "Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare." This entire year here at Unity, we're going to be taking a closer look at the 12 powers. The 12 powers of man, Charles Fillmore, the co-founder, called them. Those attributes that we all have because we are created in the image and likeness of God. In February, you looked at love, and this month, we're examining the power of imagination. Today, we're talking about new beginnings because we're at the start of a new beginning. You've just moved to this, I need to get used to saying we have just moved to this beautiful new location. It's lovely. Thank you for all your work, and thank you for the vision of you all that you created this space. It's wonderful and lovely. And then the other new beginning is that your board and I have come to an agreement about a new way I can serve this spiritual community and be a part of your family. And so we're off for our new beginning. And to get to these points of making these decisions, it took a lot of imagination. New beginnings can be exciting, can't they? This one in particular is very exciting because it's everything new. And for me, it's everything new. I love new adventures. So this is really exciting to me. But sometimes new beginnings are daunting because as human beings, we tend to want to know every step laid out in front of us of what's going to happen. And unfortunately, most new beginnings don't come with that information. When that door closes, sometimes it slams shut, and sometimes it creaks slowly shut. But however change comes, it's inevitable, isn't it? And change ushers in a time of pure potential for a new beginning of your own choosing and your own creation. It's actually a time, if you think about it, of unlearning things. You have to unlearn who you were in the former circumstances and start to learn who you will be in this new normal. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." In his book, In the Flow of Life, Eric Butterworth said, like the manna from heaven that the Israelites were blessed with in their wilderness experience, today's good is for today, to be used and then loosed. This is the continuing process of the flow of life. Just to refer to that passage, in that story, if you remember, the Israelites, when they were in the wilderness, were given manna each day, but they were ordered that they had to eat the amount for that day, and then destroy the rest. And if they didn't, it would be spoiled anyway, and it was unusable. So it's the give us this day our daily bread. So the good for today is for today, and we don't want to miss that. We want to just soak that up. We're all living in an eternal now. Actually, every day and every moment is a new beginning. And how do we cope with this constant newness? Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said, "It must be that old molds of the mortal mind and the ideas that belong to it need to be remodeled. And the remedy is be transformed by the renewal of your mind." I happen to be a person who is not very impressed by numbers alone. That is to say, numbers are one indication, one piece of data about a person, place, or thing. But though it gives you some clues about the person, how much money someone has, how many sales they made this month, or how old they are, it's not the essence of them. It's just one piece of data about them. The truth is, if we go by the numbers, by a huge part of the collective consciousness, I should be through with new beginnings. I should, at my age, be about done starting something new. When I left a staff position at a Unity of Phoenix, it was still my church home, and when people saw me at Wednesday night services, they frequently asked me how I liked retirement. And I was very quick to tell them they had been misinformed. It's kind of a surreal revelation to me, it has been over the last couple of years, that most of the world believes that I'm done. But it's true. I have had several, and I mean several, conversations with friends that go something like this. My mother is really getting old. She's really showing her age. And then they proceed to tell me what she's doing, the evidence of this. And then when I ask how old Mother is, she's invariably younger than me. Now, they don't have any idea of my age, and I know that. I'm blessed with some pretty good genes. But truthfully, stopping at some point and saying, I'm old now, I'm not going to do anything new, no more new beginnings for me, it's just not my nature. And as long as I'm around, I figure there's something new that I can manage. And right now that happens to be plenty, including beginning as spiritual leader here. And this year I also have started a new spirit-centered coaching practice where I help people change their lives with all the spiritual resources they have innately within them. I'm putting up a new website that offers some new services to the churches that I serve around the region and possibly even the country. It's exciting and fun to do all these new things, and I see no need to hang up my badge and call it a day. Actually, age is irrelevant. Wherever you are on your journey, it's a starting point. There's no need to hurry like the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, like you're late for a very important date. There's no deadline for the next adventure of your life. Whether you're 20, 50, or 80, if you don't stop seeking, you won't stop being amazed. In Celebrate Yourself, Eric Butterworth, who you will hear me mention over and over because he's my favorite Unity author, Eric Butterworth said, make a career of youthfulness through a persistent curiosity and a relentless quest for knowledge of yourself and the world in which you live. Your mind will continue to expand if you provide a constant flow of challenges. You know, when I take a break, I spend quite a bit of time on the computer, and when I take a break, I will frequently play a video game. And for a long time, I wouldn't tell people I did this because it seemed so frivolous. And then I thought, you know, then I started reading these. This is what keeps your brain going. These kinds of games are good for you. So I thought, oh, all right then. Now I wasn't ever going to stop, but now I can tell everybody that I do that. So challenges, any kind of challenge, that's why I like it. There's always that challenge to go to that next level. So as has happened a few times in my life, a couple of years ago, something happened that changed my entire life forever. I had planned on doing one thing, and suddenly, because of a decision someone else made, I was forced to do something entirely different. We don't always get to choose our new beginnings. I'd venture a guess that most of you have had that experience. And because of that, you can understand how at the same time, new beginnings can be amazing and devastating. Both new days and new starts come up without our permission. And in order to have a new beginning, what is the one prerequisite? An ending. If there's a new beginning, you can be certain there has been some kind of ending preceding it. And that's one of the things that makes beginnings difficult. It's navigating through that ending because frequently it involves loss of some kind. Eckhart Tolle in A New Earth talks about the illusion of ownership. He says, many people don't realize until they're on their deathbed and everything external falls away that no thing ever had anything to do with who they are. So in unlearning the old you, in order to start a new beginning, it is often necessary to let go of much of whom you used to be, to make room for that new you, that improved you. And the best way to do this is to open up and just download more God into your life. And how do we do that? The only way and the best way I know to do that is through frequent connection to God, through prayer and meditation, and through interaction here in your spiritual community with others of like mind. Life coach and author Mark Chernoff says that there are 9 rules for turning endings into beginnings. He says there's a big difference between giving up and starting all over in a new direction. And you can do this by learning to use the words from now on. So, from now on, let go of the things you can't control. Most things are only part of your life because you keep thinking about them. Don't let the things that are out of your control get in the way of the things you can control. From now on, accept and embrace reality. Remember this simple principle. Everything happens for you, not to you. Everything happens for you, not to you. And everything happens at exactly the right moment. In Unity, we call that divine order. So stop holding on to what hurts. Make room for joy and rejoicing. It's your choice. Really, it is. From now on, change your mind. In reality, the only thing you can truly count on is change. So the best thing you can do for yourself in this changing world is to prepare for the new. Allow the unknown in your life. Accept the fresh perspective. Growth is actually impossible without change. Endings foster change, and new beginnings come from endings. So open up to this new perspective. From now on, hold tight to the good things. Chernoff says, when life struggles knock you into a pit, don't waste any energy trying to dig yourself out. You're likely to just dig further in. Instead, I love this metaphor. Instead, pull something good in with you. You're not going to change what happened, but if you focus on the positive basic principles of life, joy, love, gratitude for what you have, and forgiveness, this will provide the light you need to put you back on the right path and out of that dark place. From now on, rest and regroup. Sometimes we do our best and end up with a mess anyway, don't we? When this happens, don't give up. You haven't failed. You just learned what not to do. So just rest, regroup, and begin again with this new information and experience. And from now on, take chances. Trying something new can be scary, but the truth is, most of our fears are much bigger in our mind than they are in reality. In fact, most of the things we fear just never really happen. So don't let them stop you. Live your life so you don't have to regret the chances you never took, the love you never let in, or the gifts you never gave. From now on, keep climbing. Any person who gets to the top of that metaphorical mountain, they didn't just get there by falling out of the sky. You gain confidence with every experience you push yourself to do, especially the ones you thought you couldn't do, or maybe you couldn't do. If you're stuck in a place where you can't go backwards and you're afraid to go forwards, remember you won't ever really enjoy the view from the top unless you are willing to climb up there. From now on, appreciate what you've learned. Don't regret your life, no matter what has happened, even the moments that were filled with pain. Appreciate what you learned from it and that you have the strength to move through it. When I was coming this morning, I was listening to Mike Dooley, one of Mike Dooley's, he's a Message from the Universe guy. I was listening to one of his recordings, and he said, people ask me all the time, if you create your own life, how did I get this thing that I didn't want, and why is it taking so long to get rid of it? What did I do wrong? And he said, I thought this was so good. He said, you didn't do anything wrong, and it isn't the wrong thing. Once you get to where you want to go and what you wanted, you realize it took all of those steps to get there, even the ones you didn't enjoy and you didn't like, because that's what makes us who we are. So never regret what you've been through. Appreciate what you've learned. And finally, from now on, just what he said, realize that every step is necessary. Nothing that happens to you is ever wrong. We learn from every single step we take in our journey. What you did today is necessary for tomorrow. So most of the time we don't pick our endings. This is the great risk as well as the great adventure of our lives. The fact that we don't get to choose so many things, and that no matter how good our intentions to eat healthier food, to improve our relationships, to break that bad habit, or to fix that part of our life that we just don't love so much, we ultimately are not in charge of every single detail of our lives. So it takes a great deal of faith and imagination to put in the effort to create a new beginning, which is often messy, with stops and starts and second thoughts. It would be easier a lot of times to just patch up what we already know. But then that wouldn't be a new beginning, would it? It's not unusual to feel overwhelmed, excuse me, or anxious beginning a new thing. The change surrounding it can be unpredictable, and it can bring on fear and depression. But I want you to know that you're normal. You know, I have what I call, and I just identified this recently, I have newness anxiety. So I mean, I wouldn't say I don't have like an attack. It's on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like 3 or 4. So, you know, I can push through it and go on. But almost any time I do anything brand new, like I've been speaking at lots of different churches. So the first time I go to any church, it doesn't matter where it is, I go through this thing like, what if I don't get there in time? What if I don't go the right way? What if the GPS is wrong, which it frequently is, and I go to the wrong place? What if I call the people and try to know where to go and they don't answer? I mean, it's that kind of thing. It's not about speaking. Speaking doesn't ever bother me. I have no anxiety about that. It's about those dumb little things, you know, and then about those unknowns that we don't know about because it's new. And so every time I do anything new, I go through a little bit of this, I push through, and then I get there and it's wonderful. And then the next time, nothing. I mean, once I've been there, I'm fine. So I just say this to tell you you're normal. I mean, do not beat yourself up if you have a little bit of concern about doing something new or a new beginning. That's normal. It's this change is what makes us grow. And even though it can bring on fear and depression, it's okay to feel less than confident about what comes next. Change isn't easy, even when it's really good for us. But rebirth and change are necessary in our lives. The clinical definition of death, you know what it is? It's cessation of change. The good news is, if you are in a really bad place right now, change is coming. See that? Change, time, everything changes. So the really good news is, if you're in a bad place, change is coming. And another thing to remember is, if you're in a good place, change is coming. So, soak up the good. Don't take it for granted, because no season lasts forever. Here are 3 more things to remember about new beginnings. First, you are not starting with nothing. You come to this place in your life with all the volumes of knowledge, experience, research, understanding, personality, and beliefs. You're starting with the most important thing of all, and that's you. Second, remember, nobody knows exactly where to begin when they start over somewhere new. It might seem like everyone you know has perfect clarity about the purpose of their life while you're just floundering around trying to take that next step, but it just isn't true. The truth is, we all are just doing our best. Everyone has a story about feeling around in the dark. No one gets clarity without working for it. And the third thing to remember is there's no rush. There's no need to be frantic. You're not running out of time. There's no deadline on starting over and beginning again. There's no limit to the number of times you can start over. We have infinite do-overs. On the other hand, sitting around twiddling your thumbs doesn't produce much growth. But life is not a race. Here's a good, simple life plan. You have everything you need to begin. First, start where you are. Actually, you can't start anywhere else. You can spend a lot of time wishing and regretting, but in the end, you have to start where you are. Second, use what you have. The most successful people don't sit around complaining about what they don't have. They just start with what they have and go for it. And finally, do what you can. We expect way too much of ourselves. We're perfectionists. But who in this world has a perfect life? Anyone you know? Not me. You can only do your best. So do that. No more, no less, and stop beating yourself up. And as Don Miguel Ruiz says in the Four Agreements, keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. Because why? Everything is alive and changing all the time. And at the end of the day, no matter where you go in life, no matter what changes, and no matter how many new beginnings, the factor that stays the same in the equation is you. Amidst all the unpredictability is the core you. The person you are at the center, with all the love, joy, and peace of spirit that's always there at your core to access. You bring it with you to the new beginning. The unchangeable, absolute part of you, that spark of divinity within, it makes every journey, tries every new task, and it shows up for you. Making this new beginning once again a rebirth of Christ consciousness and an opportunity to embrace more God in our lives with the new beginning of each and every day. Thank you. Yes.